Hello all. I thought I'd do a comparison of all the available Wrath of Khan badges that I have, because I just got the new FanSets one. I thought it'd be a great time to just like look through all of them and compare them. The FanSets one that I got is the one with the magnetic back. There's also a version that comes with standard lapel pins, which will poke through your costume, which is an option if you want that. That said, we'll talk more about this as we go. I should say outright that I don't have the Anovos one. That's the one that I don't have in my collection. In fact, if anyone wants to sell theirs, I'm happy to buy it off you. But let's talk about the ones that I have. I'll apologize in advance. Some of these things I don't know the exact dates of manufacturing, and I may get some of this information wrong. So please feel free to educate me on some of the mistakes or the things that I don't know. So some of the older ones that I have are this one from Hollywood Pins from '92, and this one from Lincoln Enterprises, I believe from the early '90s as well. So let's talk about this one first. So the awesome thing about these two is the fact that they did so much in terms of like making them feel dimensional despite being just a single piece cast, right? This one, as you can see, even feels like it has different paint qualities. There's some shiny parts and matte parts, but if you look up close, that's all really done with just like clever techniques in stippling the metal, and different types of plating. Like you can see some silver back here, and then this yellow from afar really is just the same gold but stippled, and then some chromed gold everywhere else. The one drawback from this one is that it doesn't have that bend that the badge is supposed to have. It looks really flat. But other than that, it's actually a very well made badge, and I still have fond memories of this from when I was younger. Moving on to this one here, which is again the Lincoln Enterprise one. And the nice thing about this one is that, like I said, it feels really dimensional for what it is. It has that bend that you would expect the badge to have, just like in the original. And this one is actually painted in, and there's some, the color. There's like that gull blue, and then that almost like off that yellow that you see, off yellow bone color in the back, and then gold everywhere else. One thing that I wish this had was that I wish the front had they'd gone the whole way with painting the back. I wish the plating on the Delta was the more authentic chocolate bronzy color that it's supposed to have. And so when I found a second one of that same badge, I decided to color mine, and it actually looks so much better. That said, I kept one original because I thought it was such a cool piece of Star Trek history to have this artifact. So I've kept that the way that is, and I have a second one that I painted to look more authentic. Moving forward, I just wanted to throw this in there. This was just a fun little piece that I made. I have a laser cutter, and so I drew everything in Illustrator, and then I ran it through my Glowforge, and I made this wood version, which I thought looked really cool. Anyway, that's just an aside thing. We'll skip this for now and save this for last, since it's like the newest one in the batch. This one I know very little about. I found this on eBay a while back, and it's not a very pretty one. It's well made, but it feels really flat and lacks a lot of the artistic flair the other ones have. And then the yellow just looks obnoxiously neon. Yeah, it feels really flat and lacks any dimension. But I thought I'd add it to my collection. But anyway, let's put that down there. Over here is the one by Jeff Parks that came out, I think, either late last year or early this year. This one's beautiful, right? It's got that bend that you would expect it to have. If you look really close, there's some really beautiful manufacturing details on this, down to the ridges on this back element over here. The The enamel paint looks really good, and there's a slight almost like linear detail to this bronze delta in the front. It's a very beautiful piece. I've heard Jeff describe this as, when he designed it, he wanted it to look like what the actual artifact would look like if it was from the future, and I would agree with that. Beautiful piece. It's almost like a piece of jewelry. Very well made. The one issue I have with it is that, as you can see, Jeff took liberties with the delta, and the delta is a very recognizable shape, to all of us, right? So even the slightest change is very obvious. The human eye is designed to figure out patterns or things that break out of patterns. As a designer, we tend to want to make sure that we capture those things. And so Jeff made this decision. I believe it's a conscious decision to straighten these out a little bit more. Normally these would bow a little bit more, but he decided to make them more straight. And so it's a very unique piece in that sense, in that when you do see this, you will know it's the one from Jeff, right? Jeff Parks made this. So yeah, it's a very deliberate choice. Another thing you will notice is that the shape of the back piece is a little bit more squared off than the ones that you see in the other versions over here. So again, it looks a lot more manufactured and more like a piece of jewelry from the future. Over here, one of my favorites is the one from Scott Nakada, right? So the cool thing about the one that Scott makes is that it is one of a kind. The guy makes these, he casts them, and it's not manufactured somewhere. He does the painting himself, and he puts these together. So there is a little bit more of an artisan feel to these, right? And on that, I should mention, unlike the one from Jeff Parks, which is like riveted on, like the delta, the two-piece, the delta is riveted to the back, much like you'll see here later. This one, these are just all, like the front piece is glued to the back. And one drawback to that is that it can break. Mine has broken in the past. The delta had fallen off and had to glue it back together. But despite that, this happens to be the one that I keep wearing on my Monster Maroon, and I'll talk more about that when we get to the colors. But this is one of my favorites, and this one as well. Over here, what we have is the Roddenberry one, and I believe this came out in the early 2000s. Someone can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. And this one to me is one of the better ones as well. I really love the color of the front delta. I love the attention to detail in the back. It lacks the really manufactured look of this one. Like this one looks really crisp from Jeff. This one looks a little bit more dinged together, but regardless of that, I think it's beautiful. It's got that bend in the back. The delta is a lot thinner than the other ones, as you can see here, so you'll have to be careful with this. This can tend to bend, unlike the one from Scott. It's a lot thicker. I don't know if you can see that, but this one can bend. If you ever drop this, it will deform. But the nice thing about it is that it is, screwed in on the back, so it's pretty sturdy, at least in terms of like not falling apart. Which brings us to the newest one, right? So this is the newest part of the gang. Congratulations to the folks at FanSets. It's a beautiful piece, right? The jewelry, like ridges in the background, how clean the enameling looks on this, the treatment of the metal, like I think it's just really well finished. I appreciate the fact that this is a sturdy piece of metal backing in the back. This couldn't have been cheap to manufacture. It's really well made. The magnets are really strong. I haven't actually put it on my jacket, but here's a really thick mouse pad, right? So I'll put it in the front and the back, and you will see that thing's not going anywhere, right? It's not sliding anywhere. That's a really strong set of magnets over there. So those are some of the awesome parts about it. The other thing that I really love is just the this bend around the back bar is just perfect, right? Over here, and then the design of this, like, really well sculpted. The one drawback that I have about this is, again, like I mentioned with Jeff's badge, we as fans of this Delta understand what the shape is, and it can be argued that, you know, one of William Shatner's badges that he used in Wrath of Khan may have had more rounded edges. But the point is that this is not how you ideally remember the badge. And though it may be really well made, the one thing that I personally don't like is how rounded these edges are. These points are very rounded. None of these other ones have that same feel. Arguably, the Roddenberry one, which is probably the most authentic replica, has very sharp edges, right? Sharp points, but this one doesn't. It was a very intentful choice from the designer, which I respect, but personally, it's not my favorite because of that. But despite that, I still think it's a beautiful piece, and it's a great addition to any collection. And so on that, I would still recommend buying it for the price point as well. I say it's a really good piece, and you should definitely consider adding it to your collection. Now, one last thing I want to talk about are the colors, right? So I'd already mentioned how this one here is just like ridiculously neon yellow. There's some different interpretations of the badge, and you know, as you see it in the film, some would say that the background should be a little bit more yellowy. Some would say that it's like less yellowy and it's more bone-like in color. My own personal taste, and that's the reason why I keep wearing the one from Scott, is that I really love the slight bone white that they have in the background here, which I think is also captured by the FanSets one. These two are a little bit closer. It's almost like it splits the difference between some of these other ones, right? But I personally feel that these two are the closest in terms of the color in the background. And in terms of the front, I really love the chocolate copper that Scott makes his with. And so I normally wear this. But that said, these are all very beautiful badges and are worthy to add to your collection. I wish I had the Anovos one, and one day I'll get one of those. But yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to talk about all these amazing badges. Congratulations to FanSets for releasing a beautiful, beautiful rendition of the badge, and thank you so much for making it. I appreciate all the amazing work that you guys went through to get this out to the public. I know as a designer, I want to say that this isn't easy, right? This is a lot of work, and to be able to deliver something like this and manufacture it in a way that can be at a good price point, it's not easy. It's a lot of planning and going back and forth with you know, with a factory to make sure that everything is gonna fit perfectly. That took some engineering, and I want to commend these amazing people for making this. So thank you. This was really well made. On that, again, I love all my badges. Thank you for your time, and thanks for listening to me rant for a little bit. Okay, bye-bye.